It was late evening and the city was heavy with rain, the kind of rain that painted the streets with silver light and made every sound echo strangely. Daniel, a young delivery boy, pedaled his bicycle through the wet streets, a box of food strapped tightly to the carrier. He was used to long nights, used to the way people barely looked at him when he handed them their meals. For most of the world, he was invisible, just another delivery worker trying to earn a few credits. But this night felt different. The streets were emptier than usual, the air colder, and he couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was watching him. He pulled his jacket tighter, head down against the falling rain, and told himself it was only his imagination. The city was full of shadows, after all. On his way back from a delivery, Daniel noticed something strange lying near, an overflowing trash bin. At first, he thought it was just a broken toy or maybe a strange lamp. But when he slowed down and looked closely, he felt his breath catch. It was small, no bigger than his palm, and glowing faintly. The glow wasn't steady. It pulsed like a heartbeat. The rain didn't dim it, and the colors shifted. Blue, green, and then a soft gold. Curiosity tugged at him. He stopped his bike, leaned it against a wall, and bent down. His hand hesitated in the air. Something about it didn't feel right. It wasn't plastic or metal like normal toys. It looked alive. He could hear a faint hum, almost like a whisper. He glanced around, but the street was empty. Only the rain and the hiss of distant traffic filled the silence. Slowly, he picked it up. The moment his fingers touched the surface, the glow brightened. The hum grew louder, and for a second Daniel thought he heard something, like words too faint to understand. He jerked his hand back, startled, but the toy clung to his palm as if it didn't want to let go. It was warm now, warmer than the rain should have allowed. What the hell? Daniel muttered under his breath. His voice sounded too loud in the lonely street. He tried to put the toy back down, but the glow dimmed whenever he moved it toward the ground, almost like it was refusing. Against his better judgment, Daniel slipped it into his jacket pocket, telling himself he would figure it out later. Maybe he could sell it. Maybe it was just some advanced gadget from a rich kid. That would explain the strange design. He got back on his bike and began pedaling again. But as he rode through the wet streets, he couldn't stop glancing at his pocket. He could feel the faint vibration against his chest, like a second heartbeat. For some reason it made him uneasy, and yet he couldn't let it go. When he finally returned to his tiny apartment, the toy was still glowing softly. Daniel shook off his wet jacket and tossed it onto the chair. The toy rolled out, landing on the wooden table with a small thud. It looked out of place in his cramped room with its peeling walls and flickering light bulb, almost like it didn't belong in this world. Daniel sat on the edge of his bed and stared at it. His mind ran in circles. Should he call the police? Should he throw it away? Something told him not to. There was a strange pull, like the toy was connected to him now. He leaned closer, watching as the symbols on its surface shifted, glowing brighter whenever he breathed near it. The rain outside grew louder, and the shadows in his room seemed to press in. Daniel suddenly felt a chill crawl up his spine. He got up and checked the window. For a moment, he thought he saw movement in the alley below, two tall shapes slipping back into the darkness when he pulled the curtain. His heart raced. Was someone watching him? Did they know he had the toy? He closed the curtain quickly and turned back to the table. The toy was glowing brighter now, as if reacting to his fear. Daniel reached out again, his hand trembling. The moment he touched it, the glow steadied, warm and strong, almost like it was comforting him. That night, as he lay in bed, he could not sleep. The toy sat on his table, humming softly. Its glow painted the room in gold. Every time Daniel closed his eyes, he felt as if someone was standing outside his door, waiting. His ears strained for footsteps, his chest heavy with unease. Daniel tried to convince himself it was nothing, just nerves. He was tired, overworked, and letting his imagination play tricks on him. But deep inside, he knew this was no ordinary night. He had picked up something he was not meant to find, something that would not let him go. The toy pulsed again, steady, alive. Daniel pulled the blanket tighter around himself, whispering, "What are you?" But no answer came. Only the soft hum filled the silence, and outside the rain kept falling. It was the beginning of a night he would never forget. A night when a simple delivery boy unknowingly stepped into a story far bigger than himself. A night when the strange alien toy first chose him, and the city, without knowing, held its breath. Daniel woke up the next morning with heavy eyes. He had hardly slept. The soft glow of the strange toy had stayed with him all night, humming like it had its own life. For hours he had tossed and turned, wondering what he had brought into his room. When he sat up, the toy was still there on the table, glowing faintly. Its light was softer now, like it was resting. Daniel rubbed his face, muttering, "I should throw this thing away." But he didn't move. His hands refused to pick it up and toss it. Something deep inside whispered that he should not part with it. He got ready for work, the same dull routine. His apartment was small and worn down, his uniform damp from the rain the night before. He strapped the food bag to his back and tried to ignore the toy. Yet as he turned to leave, the glow suddenly brightened and he froze. The hum grew louder, like a warning. Daniel sighed and tucked the toy back into his pocket, telling himself he'd drop it somewhere later. But the moment it touched his chest, the hum calmed, almost like it was satisfied. He shook his head, thinking he was going crazy. On his bicycle, riding through the city, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. The streets looked the same, full of rushing cars and flashing lights. But he felt eyes on him. The toy vibrated gently every time he passed certain corners, as if sensing something. Nearby, Daniel gripped the handlebars tighter. By noon he had finished a few deliveries, but the toy kept distracting him. It shifted on its own in his pocket, sometimes glowing faintly even through the fabric. He tried to act normal, but he knew this was not normal. That night, back in his apartment, everything changed. Daniel had just finished his last delivery, exhausted. His stomach was empty, and he heated up cheap noodles. The toy lay on the table again, quiet. He turned off the lights, sat down, and tried to eat, but then the hum began, soft at first, then louder. The toy floated an inch above the table, glowing brighter and brighter. Daniel dropped his fork in shock. His chair screeched against the floor as he stumbled back. "What the hell?" he gasped. The toy lifted higher, spinning slowly. The glow spread across the walls, painting them with strange alien symbols. The humming turned into whispers, sounds he couldn't understand. The light filled the room until it almost hurt his eyes. Daniel backed against the wall, his heart thundering. No, this isn't real," he whispered, but it was. The toy was alive. The whispers grew sharper, shifting into a strange rhythm, like a language trying to form words. Daniel's ears rang with the sound, and he covered them with his hands, but the voice wasn't outside. It was inside his head, soft and broken. He squeezed his eyes shut, trembling. When he opened them, the toy dropped suddenly, landing back on the table with a sharp click. The glow dimmed. The whispers stopped. Only the faint hum remained. Daniel stood frozen. His chest rose and fell with quick breaths. He stared at the toy, waiting for it to move again. His noodles sat forgotten on the counter, cold. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Daniel slowly walked forward and touched the toy with his fingertip. The glow steadied, warm and calm, like it was acknowledging him. "Why me?" Daniel whispered, but no answer came. Outside, on the rooftops across the street, two figures stood in the rain, cloaked in black. Their eyes glowed faintly under the hoods. One of them raised a small device. A green light pulsed, matching the signal of the toy. "The human has it," one figure hissed in a low alien tongue. The other nodded. "Then we must take it before it bonds. Once it bonds, it will never release him." They melted back into the darkness, unseen. Inside, Daniel sat at his table, unaware that danger was already hunting him. He pulled the toy closer, staring at it with a mix of fear and wonder. He thought about throwing it away, leaving it on some empty street, but each time the thought crossed his mind, a strange pull inside his chest told him no, he couldn't let it go. Not yet. That night, as he lay in bed again, the toy sat on his table, glowing faintly in the dark. Daniel couldn't sleep. His eyes kept drifting. To the soft light, his heart told him that his life had changed. though he didn't know how. And far beyond the city, deep in the cold void of space, signals spread. Aliens who had lost the toy were now moving. They knew exactly where it was, and they knew it had chosen a human. Daniel, tired and confused, finally drifted into restless sleep. His last thought before the dreams took him was a whisper in his head, soft, almost childlike. "Don't let them take me." He opened his eyes, but the room was empty. Only the toy glowed, steady and alive. It was no longer just a strange object, it was something else. Something dangerous. Something that had decided it belonged with him, and Daniel, without knowing, had just stepped deeper into a story far larger than himself. A story that would not let him escape. Daniel woke early the next morning, his head heavy from strange dreams. He remembered flashes of light, whispers in his ear, and the feeling that someone, or something, had been standing beside his bed. When he sat up, his eyes went straight to the table. The toy was still there, quiet, but he knew it was not really sleeping. He dressed quickly, trying to act normal. He had deliveries to make, and he told himself he would not think about the toy, but he still slipped it into his jacket pocket almost without realizing it. He could not leave it behind. A part of him already felt tied to it. The city was buzzing with life that morning. Cars rushed past, people shouted, and vendors sold breakfast on the corners. Yet Daniel felt cut off from it all. Every sound seemed distant. His hand brushed the toy in his pocket, and it was warm, pulsing lightly like a small heart. By noon, he was making a delivery in one of the quieter districts. Tall buildings loomed over narrow alleys, and the smell of damp concrete filled the air. He parked his bicycle and climbed the steps of an old apartment block. But as he walked back down, bag empty, something felt wrong. The street was too silent. The normal city noise had faded. Daniel stopped, his eyes scanning the shadows. He felt it before he saw it. The toy in his pocket vibrated sharply, warning him. From the corner of the alley, two tall figures stepped out. They were not human. Their movements were smooth. Too smooth, and their bodies seemed hidden under long black cloaks. But when the hoods shifted, Daniel saw glimpses of gray skin and sharp eyes glowing faintly. "Human," one of them hissed, the word broken but clear. "Give us what you carry." Daniel froze, his mouth dry. He wanted to run, but his legs felt like stone. I don't know what you're talking about," he stammered. The second alien raised a long, thin device that hummed with energy. A strange blue light sparked at its tip. Daniel's heart pounded. He had seen enough movies to know this was no toy. "The relic is not for you," the first one said. "Give it to us, or you will not leave this place alive." Daniel's hand moved to his pocket, instinct pulling at him. The toy vibrated harder, as if responding. Before he knew it, he pulled it out. The glow burst into the alley, casting golden light across the wet walls. The aliens hissed, shielding their faces from the sudden flare. Then they lunged forward. Their speed was inhuman. Daniel stumbled back, panic flooding his chest. He thought he was about to die, but the toy in his hand pulsed once, then unfolded like it was alive. Its smooth surface split apart, revealing sharp edges of light. In an instant, a glowing shield spread out in front of him. The aliens struck, their energy blasts slamming. Into the shield, sparks flew across the alley. Daniel cried out, falling to his knees. But the shield held. The toy hummed louder, each pulse sending a wave of force back at the attackers. For the first time, Daniel saw fear in their glowing eyes. One of them shouted in their strange language, pulling the other back. They didn't expect resistance, not from a human boy with what they thought was only a relic. Daniel gasped for breath, clutching the toy close. The shield faded slowly, leaving the smell of burned air behind. His whole body shook. His ears rang with the sound of energy crashing against light. The aliens glared at him, but they did not move closer. Instead, one of them whispered, "It has chosen him." The other bared its teeth, a low growl rumbling from its throat. "Then he is marked, and soon others will come." With that, they slipped back into the shadows, vanishing as quickly as they had appeared. The alley fell silent again, but the silence felt heavier now. Daniel collapsed against the wall, chest heaving. He looked at the toy in his hand. It had folded back into its small shape, glowing faintly as if nothing had happened. "What are you?" Daniel whispered, his voice cracked. He wanted to throw it away, run far, and forget. But deep down he knew he could not. The toy had saved his life. It had chosen him. For the rest of the day, Daniel could not focus on his deliveries. He kept looking over his shoulder, jumping at every shadow. He was no longer just a delivery boy. He was carrying something dangerous, something powerful. And somewhere in the city, in hidden places humans never saw, whispers spread. The relic had awakened, and it was in the hands of a human. Daniel returned to his small apartment, shaking. He locked the door, pulled the curtains, and sat at the table staring at the toy. His world had changed in just one encounter. He was no longer safe. And the worst part was, this was only the beginning. The toy pulsed softly in his hand, and for the first time Daniel thought he heard a faint voice inside his head. Not threatening, but pleading. "Don't let them take me." He gripped it tighter. His fear remained, but so did something new. A strange determination he didn't understand. He didn't know why, but he already felt like he had a duty to protect it. And outside, under the endless night sky, more figures were already moving, drawn to the signal of the relic. The hunt had only begun. Daniel couldn't calm down after what had happened in the alley. His hands kept shaking no matter how many times he told himself it was just a dream. But he knew it wasn't. The toy, no, the strange alien object had protected him. He had seen the glowing shield. He had heard the hum in his chest, and he had felt the fear of those creatures. They had called it a relic. They had said it, had chosen him. He sat at his tiny table, staring at the toy lying there in front of him. It looked harmless now, small and smooth, no bigger than his hand, glowing faintly as if it were breathing. Daniel leaned closer, whispering, "What are you?" But the toy gave no answer. Only the soft hum, steady and alive. The night dragged on. Rain tapped gently against the window, and the city noise outside grew quiet. Daniel tried to sleep, but his body refused. He kept sitting up, glancing at the table. His eyes burned from exhaustion, but he couldn't look away from the glow. And then, just past midnight, the toy stirred. The glow brightened slowly, filling the room with golden light. Daniel froze. His heart thudded hard against his ribs. He held his breath as the toy lifted from the table and floated gently into the air. The hum deepened, no longer just a sound. It was a voice now, soft and broken. The toy unfolded in the air, its surface splitting into tiny shifting panels that revealed hidden symbols glowing like fire. The walls of the room were covered in strange alien letters, moving and twisting like they were alive. Daniel stumbled back, but he couldn't look away. The toy projected something into the air. A faint shape shimmered above it, blurry at first, then clear. His eyes widened. His heart stopped. It was a child, not human, but alien. The figure was small, fragile-looking, with glowing eyes too large for its face. Its skin shimmered like liquid silver, and its voice cracked like static. The words were broken, but Daniel understood enough. "Help me, please," the child whispered. Daniel gasped. You can talk?" The hologram flickered, the alien child's face trembling as though trapped in pain. "Not toy. I am guardian. They hunt me. They kill." Daniel's hands shook. His throat felt dry. "Who hunts you?" "Those things from the alley." The child's glowing eyes filled with fear. "Hunters. They silence truth. I hold proof. Crimes of their kind." The words were difficult, but Daniel pieced them together. This wasn't just some strange relic, it was a guardian, and inside it lived a memory, a secret the hunters wanted destroyed. The child's voice grew weaker. "Bond with you, protector. You must keep me." or I die." Daniel's chest tightened. He backed against the wall, running his hands through his hair. No. This can't be happening. I'm just a delivery boy. I can't protect you from aliens. I can barely pay my rent." His laugh came out hollow, broken, but the child only looked at him with those glowing eyes, desperate and pleading. "Chosen, you eat now, guardian, so you please, save." The light flickered. The hologram trembled violently and then it disappeared. The toy dropped back to the table with a dull clink. Its glow softened again, humming quietly as if it had gone back to sleep. Daniel stared at it, his mind racing, his body felt heavy. He sank into the chair, staring at his trembling hands. His life had changed in only 2 days. He had gone from delivering food to holding the secrets of an alien war. He didn't know if he wanted this, but deep down he knew he had no choice. Outside, far away in the city's shadows, the hunters were still searching. One of them snarled as his device tracked the signal. "It is awakening. If the human bonds fully, it will be too late." The other hissed. "Then we strike soon. We will take it, and the human will fall." Inside his apartment, Daniel pressed his palms against his face. His heart wouldn't slow down. The hologram of the alien child still burned in his mind, the desperate plea echoing again and again. He wanted to believe it was a dream, but he knew better. The toy pulsed, gently on the table like it was waiting for him. Daniel swallowed hard. "If I help you, they'll kill me," he whispered. His voice cracked. "But if I don't, you'll die, and maybe worse." He sat in silence, staring at the glow. He didn't know if he could be a hero. He didn't even believe in heroes. But something about that alien child's voice, soft and pleading, had planted itself inside him. He could not ignore it. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Daniel knew now that he was trapped. He had picked up the toy, and now the toy had picked him. And beyond the city, far above in the cold, dark sky, ships moved silently, drawn by the signal. The hunters were not the only ones who knew. More eyes were turning toward Earth, and all of them were fixed on one human delivery boy. Daniel woke up with a heavy heart the next morning. He had hardly closed his eyes all night. Every time he drifted into sleep, he saw the alien child's hologram, its glowing eyes pleading with him. The voice echoed in his head. "You are guardian. Please save." He sat at the edge of his bed, staring at the toy on his table. It was quiet now, as if nothing had happened. But Daniel knew better. It wasn't just a toy. It was alive. And the moment he touched it again, his chest tightened, like it had become part of him. He wanted to run away, throw it into a river, or leave it far outside the city. But deep down he knew it wouldn't let him, and worse, the hunters wouldn't stop. They had seen him. They had marked him. That day, Daniel tried to act normal. He put on his uniform, grabbed his delivery bag, and cycled through the busy streets. But the world no longer felt the same. Every shadow seemed alive. Every face in the crowd looked suspicious. The toy pulsed faintly in his pocket, warning him. At noon, Daniel entered a tall office tower to deliver food. He handed over the box to a woman and received a polite smile. But as he left the building, his stomach dropped. Across the street, 2 dark figures stood, cloaked, unmoving, watching him. Daniel's heart raced. He hurried to his bicycle, gripping the handles tight. The toy vibrated harder, almost like it was screaming. He sped off into traffic, weaving between cars, but when he glanced back, the figures were gone. Relief washed over him for a moment, but then, boom, an energy blast struck a nearby street lamp, sparks flying. People screamed and scattered. Daniel's eyes widened in horror. The hunters were here. They were chasing him openly now, not caring if humans saw. He pedaled faster, sweat dripping down his forehead. Another blast slammed into the road behind him, cracking the concrete. Cars screeched and swerved, horns blaring. Someone shouted, "What's happening?" Phones went up. People were filming. Daniel's mind spun. This wasn't just about him anymore. If he kept running through the streets, innocent people could die. The hunters didn't care. They only wanted the relic. The toy pulsed violently, Daniel's vision blurred. Suddenly, golden light burst from his pocket, a shield wrapped around him and his bicycle. An energy blast struck again, but this time the shield absorbed it. The shockwave rippled through the street, knocking over trash bins. People screamed louder. "He's using alien tech," someone shouted. Cameras flashed. Social media would explode within minutes. Daniel swerved into an alley, his breath ragged. He skidded to a stop, pressing against the wall. The toy floated out of his pocket, spinning, glowing brighter than ever. The air shimmered and symbols lit up on the walls. A voice echoed in his mind again, the alien child's voice. "Danger grows. You must protect. Hunters will not stop." Daniel shook his head. "I can't fight them. I'm not a soldier, I'm just a delivery boy." His voice cracked with fear, but the toy pulsed again, sending warmth through his chest. The alien child's voice whispered, "You are chosen, not by chance, by need." Before Daniel could answer, shadows shifted. The hunters stepped into the alley, blocking both exits, their glowing eyes fixed on him, energy weapons raised. One of them snarled, "Human, you cannot hide. The relic belongs to us." Daniel stumbled back, gripping the toy. His whole body shook. He wanted to give it up, to end this nightmare. But then he remembered the hologram, the pleading voice. The truth the relic carried. If he gave it to them, the child's message would die and the galaxy would never know the crimes hidden inside. The hunters fired, but the toy reacted instantly. A shield spread again, golden light flashing. Energy bolts slammed against it, shaking Daniel to his core. Sparks flew, the ground cracked, but the shield held. Daniel cried out, pushing forward, and to his shock, the toy released another power. A burst of energy shot out like a wave, slamming into the hunters. They flew back against the walls, groaning. Daniel stood frozen, staring at his hands. Did I just do that? His chest pounded. He could feel the relic's power inside him now, but the fight was not over. The hunters staggered to their feet, snarling, their voices filled with rage. "You will regret this, human. You have made yourself enemy of our kind." Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance. Police vehicles pulled into the street outside the alley. Lights flashed red and blue. The hunters hissed and retreated into the shadows, melting away before the humans could see them. Daniel collapsed against the wall, chest heaving, sweat drenched his face. His hands trembled as he clutched the relic. The crowd outside was buzzing. People pointed at the alley, phones recorded everything. "He had some alien weapon," someone shouted. "He fought them off." Another cried. Daniel's stomach turned cold. Not only were aliens after him now, but humans would be too. Governments, scientists, criminals. Everyone would want the relic. And they would all know. His face? He staggered home that night, every step heavy. In his apartment, he dropped onto his bed, staring at the ceiling. His body ached. His mind raced. The relic sat on his table, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. The alien child's faint voice whispered in his head one last time before sleep dragged him down. "They will come again. Many more. But together we can survive." Daniel closed his eyes, his heart pounding. He was no longer just a boy delivering food. He was the unwilling guardian of something that could change the galaxy. And now, the hunt for him had only begun. Daniel woke with a start, his body drenched in sweat. The events of the previous night felt like a nightmare, yet the relic pulsed softly on his table, reminding him it was very real. He rubbed his eyes, trying to make sense of it all. For hours he stared at the toy, thinking about the hunters, their glowing eyes, and the energy blasts that had almost destroyed him. He thought about the city streets, the people who had watched him fight, and the unknown danger that could strike at any moment. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him, heavier than anything he had ever felt. He could try to run, leave the city, disappear into the shadows. Maybe he could bury the toy somewhere far away and pretend none of it ever happened. But every time he considered it, the relic pulsed and the alien child's voice whispered in his mind, "You cannot hide. They will follow. You are chosen." Daniel shook his head. "I'm not a hero, I'm not special. I'm just a delivery boy," he muttered to himself. His hands trembled as he picked up the toy, feeling its strange warmth. It almost felt alive. like it understood his fear, like it knew the choice he had to make. The city outside was alive with noise. Sirens still echoed faintly from the night before. Cars honked. People shouted. Life went on as if nothing had happened. But Daniel knew the truth. The galaxy was quietly watching, and the hunters would not forgive him. He decided to leave his apartment just to think and maybe get some air. He cycled slowly through the streets, keeping a careful eye on every corner. Every shadow seemed dangerous. Every stranger looked suspicious. His heart pounded as he imagined hunters waiting to strike. He stopped by a small park, the early morning sunlight cutting through the trees. He sat on a bench, gripping the relic. "What am I supposed to do?" he whispered. "I didn't ask for this. I just wanted a normal life." The toy floated gently in front of him, spinning slowly, golden light shimmering from its tiny form. And then, a vision appeared inside the light, showing a distant planet under attack, cities burning, people screaming, creatures being captured. The alien child he had seen before appeared, looking desperate, pleading, "You are the only one who can save them. Only you can carry our message. Only you can fight back." The voice echoed, stronger than before. Daniel's stomach twisted. He wanted to look away, but he couldn't. The vision filled him with fear and awe. He thought about his family, his friends, the simple life he had before. Could he leave it all behind? Could he accept a danger that might end his life at any moment? And yet, he felt something stir inside, a strange pull, like destiny itself was whispering, telling him he couldn't refuse. Hours passed as he sat there, silent, thinking. The city around him was waking, but Daniel felt a strange stillness, almost like time had paused for him. Finally he spoke, his voice steady but small. "Okay, I will do it. I will protect you. I will not run." The relic pulsed brightly, almost as if it approved. The alien child's voice whispered one last time in his mind. "Good. We begin now. The hunters will not stop, but you are not alone." Daniel looked around, and, for the first time, he felt a strange sense of courage. He wasn't just a boy delivering food anymore. He was a guardian, a protector, a chosen one in a universe he barely understood. That evening he prepared, gathering supplies, analyzing maps, and learning about the relic's strange powers. The toy floated beside him, showing faint holograms of alien symbols, and Daniel studied them carefully, trying to understand the language, the message, the plan. As night fell, he stepped out onto the streets again, but this time with purpose. Not fear, not confusion, but determination. He was ready to face the hunters, ready to fight for the alien child, and ready to accept a destiny he had never imagined. The city lights flickered, casting shadows, and somewhere in the distance Daniel felt the hunters watching, waiting for him to make a mistake. His heartbeat synced with the pulsing light of the relic, a warning and a guide at the same time. He whispered to himself, "I may be just a delivery boy, but I will not run anymore. I will protect what must be protected, no matter what it costs." And as he cycled through the streets, his eyes sharp, his mind focused, the first wave of danger approached. The hunters were closing in, but Daniel was no longer the same boy. He had chosen, and that choice had changed. Him, the adventure, the danger, the unknown power of the relic. It was all ahead, waiting, and for the first time, Daniel felt ready. Daniel stood in the darkness near the old shipyard. The wind blew hard through broken metal and forgotten crates. He could feel the relic pulsing in his pocket. Faster now, like it knew something was coming. He adjusted the straps of his backpack and whispered, "This is it." The relic floated out of his pocket, glowing like a small sun. It spun in the air and projected a golden line across the cracked ground. "They are here," the alien child's voice whispered in Daniel's mind. "Prepare." Daniel didn't ask how the relic knew. He just trusted it now. Trusted the connection they had built. He stepped forward, his heart calm, but his body ready to move. The vision he had seen, the burning cities, the captured people, was burned into his memory. He would not let it happen again. The sky above shifted, clouds moved unnaturally, and then silence. Too much silence. Not even wind now. The birds had vanished, the air had frozen. Daniel's breath turned cold. 3 dark figures stepped out from behind the shadows of a rusted ship. The hunters, taller than before, cloaked in black armor that shimmered under the moonlight. Their eyes glowed like burning stars, and their weapons crackled with blue energy. "You had your chance," the leader said, its voice like grinding metal. "Give us the relic, and we will let you live." Daniel stepped forward slowly, the golden light from the relic swirling around him like a shield. "I'm not giving you anything," he said, voice firm. "This isn't just some toy. It's a life, a truth, and you want it destroyed." The hunters didn't wait. They raised their weapons and fired. The blast lit the night. But the relic responded, shield pulsing outward. The energy bounced off, striking the ground and sending chunks of metal flying. Daniel ducked behind a cargo container, the relic floating beside him, whispering, "Trust me." He nodded, and the relic pulsed again. A second later, a wave of force shot outward, knocking 2 of the hunters back. Daniel ran forward, jumping over crates, rolling between shots. His body moved like he had trained for this all his life. But he hadn't. It was the relic guiding him, sinking with him. The 3rd hunter slammed a blade into the ground, splitting the earth with energy. Daniel was thrown backward, hitting a wall with a grunt. His vision blurred, but he pushed himself up, teeth gritted. "You're just a boy," one hunter snarled, limping forward. "You don't belong in this war." Daniel wiped blood from his lip. "Maybe not," he said, "but I'm standing between you and the truth, and I'm not moving." With a sudden pulse, the relic opened completely for the first time. Panels shifted, revealing a bright white core. A beam of pure golden light blasted into the sky. From orbit, hidden satellites activated, and a message was sent. A signal, coded and ancient, flew into deep space. Across the stars, others would hear it. Civilizations, refugees, resistance fighters. The proof that the hunters were murderers and oppressors. The secret was out. The hunters screamed, their bodies glitching as the light wrapped around them. Their armor cracked, their energy weapons sparked. And then, with a flash, they vanished, not dead but erased from this place, pulled back into the void. Silence fell again. Daniel stood in the middle of the yard, panting. The golden light dimming around him. The relic floated gently back into his hand. Its hum was peaceful now, soft like a lullaby. The voice of the alien child returned, weak but grateful. "Thank you, Guardian. You did it. We are free." Daniel sank to his knees, staring at the relic. "What happens now?" he asked, voice trembling. The relic answered, "Your world will change. Some will fear you, others will follow you, but you are no longer alone." A week later, news spread across Earth. Videos of the golden light, the alien battle, and Daniel's face filled every screen. Governments demanded answers. Scientists searched for him. But Daniel was already gone. He had vanished from the city, riding through the forests, deserts, and across oceans, always moving, always watching, not hiding, but preparing, because the relic had shown him more enemies, more danger, more truths hidden in the stars, and he was ready. Not just a delivery boy anymore. He was a guardian chosen by an alien life. He had faced death and fear, and instead of running, he stood, and the galaxy would never be the same.